Hi there. We have all been overwhelmed with this rush to build AI skills and then look at all these AI tools. Every day a new one is coming. How do we keep up? How do we catch up? How do we showcase that we are good with AI and where does it actually add value? My name is Shajad Ahmed. I work behind the scenes in tech for executive decision making around talent, culture, and the future of work. You don't need to know all the tools, and you actually don't need to rush for skills. Before you go for skills, there's only one thing that we all need to think about, that I've worked with leaders, with investors, with hiring managers to figure out what is that one thing that really displays fluency. And that is this one mindset that I'm going to cover in this video. With that, let's go. So there are tons of tools out there, right? And there are people on social media. There's this AI media industry complex that keeps talking about tools. And I think it's not a tools paradise, it's a fool's paradise right now, trying to rush for all of these tools that are, by the way, competing with each other. And then there are these bigger players in AI who are going to overcome all of these because they're going to basically either buy them or cannibalize them, completely end them by building the functionality within their own AI tools that we're already seeing right now, which is in my last video, which is video number 5 on my channel. I talked about mindset over skills and the key mindsets that I figured out that actual AI players who are building something on AI are evaluating, whether it's in an interview, whether they're evaluating leaders right now in companies and saying, are you the right leaders for the future? And that was mindset over skills. And within that, I talked about one mindset that is key that we can learn and that can overcome this overwhelm on tools and help us on a path that you will able to effectively build skills and display skills. Why are we talking about mindset? Because mindset is strategy, skills are tactics. Strategy is our strategic choice of who do we want to be and who do we do not want to be. It creates avenues and opportunities for us to build a future that we want to build. Skills are tactics. Tactics can change, right, over time, but our strategy generally remains the same. And in this case, mindset is our strategy that will help us build the skills along the way and also build the skill of, as new tools and technology come in, how do we figure out all of them without actually playing with all of them? When we look at AI as a tool, we start thinking of AI as this, one shop hammer, and then everything starts looking like a nail for us. We need to start treating AI as a team member that is a rookie team member, comes in, learns to work with us, and we learn to work with it. And we coach it, we give it feedback. We also learn where does our value stand and where the barriers are. How can we responsibly enhance it as well, while making sure that we stick to our humanity and keep our value add on it. That is what will help us understand how to play with AI. Doesn't matter what the new tool is, right? This mindset of playing with the tool, with AI as a team member, we're able to collaborate, we're able to responsibly collaborate, and then actually apply this for a benefit, a value that either to us as a user or to an end customer, right? That is what is AI fluency. So what does it mean to treat AI as a team member? It means 3 things. Number 1, giving AI context. Just like we have a team member who joins our team, the best onboarding is we give them context of what we're trying to solve for. What is the big picture? What's the objective that we want to achieve? And then the right team member quickly catches up, right? Learns our shorthand and augments us, right? Our ability to do more. And then, so the second part is we're using AI not only for a team member that helps us do our work, it helps us to think broadly, think about other domains that we don't know of, but we need to go and harness the insights from there to come up with a solution, right? It's our sparring partner, right? And then the third part is thinking about the workflows that we have in our domain, right? And that we want to transform using AI, which is a key for AI fluency that we need to display. Using AI as a team member selectively in different workflows so that we learn how to play with it and for our domain. and then expanding it to other workflows, and overall building a system in our domain that uses AI to redesign, challenge the status quo of how work can be, with all the possibilities now with AI, but without losing our humanity and without losing our human edge as well. At the same time, as you're playing with it as with AI as a team member, you're also learning, okay, where the future is headed with this, and where easily it can automate the work that we think only we can do, and then where else, what's the new job redesign that we need to look at to keep upping the game for us and staying ahead of the game. That is something I covered in our previous videos around how to think about AI's impact and how do you build out a career strategy, knowing what's the impact on your domain. Why this mindset? So, for those who are new to this channel, I am focused on two audiences. One, mid-career professionals 40 plus who are being written off by corporate. How do we help you become AI augmented experts in your domain? Because that's the future for you. And for those who are being written off early in their career, Gen Z students and early in career talent, and when you don't have the opportunity to work, how can you use AI to your benefit? And so for the 40 plus, for mid-career professionals, right, it is about using AI as a team member helps you to get deeper strategic thinking done for your domain. You become an AI augmented expert. For those who are early in their career, can use AI as a team member to simulate mentorship for domains that they don't know about, that they can go research. And that doesn't mean relying on AI as your only source. What it does is it gives you insights and gives you practice, right, in the privacy of this one-to-one conversation with AI. And from there, you can go and connect with mentors and ask them for advice and even test out your perspective with AI itself, right? That is why this mindset changes everything. Why do we want to change this mindset, right? Is because where do we want to be in the future, right? I've covered this in our previous videos that think about two axes. On the x-axis is, AI's impact on what you do. You can either be on one end where AI automates everything that you do and you basically become a commodity, or on the other end, augmentation, where AI does work, but then on top of it is your human judgment, right? That you add value to it. That's the role that you want to be in. And on the y axis is whatever you bring to the table, your domain, in the industry you're in the company you're in, what's the perceived business value of that? Is it a premium or is it a commodity? And for us, where we want to be is start to shifting towards this direction where we're highly augmented and we hold a premium value in the market. That is what we strive to do. This mindset of using AI as a team member gets us there. And then on top of it, we're not just approaching this future work of AI just so that, we are at a happy medium with AI. No, we want to look at a future with the what's happening in the world and where we're headed in this algorithmic world. Is we want a future that works for us, and it has three variables. It is job market relevance that we get with by being AI ready, but then we want to use it for what drives meaning for us and what drives purpose for us. And when you play with AI as a team member, that mindset not only builds your job market relevance. Look at my previous video where I explained what is AI fluency and why this mindset is part of it. It also gives us an opportunity to understand, okay, in this world, what is it that even if AI could do I want to do it because it is just meaningful to me? And then what is what that, only I do, and does it drive meaning for me, right? It could be, if you're in sales, the communication, the conversation with customers, right? Influencing others, right? Working with other people, right? Collaborating with them, creating something, just the act of creating, whether it's digital or physical, just drives a lot of meaning for you. And then lastly, we're like, okay, if this is how the domain is changing, when you're playing with AI as a team member, you start figuring out, okay, how do I scale? How can I use this to help others as well for whatever purpose drives you? That is why this is a key mindset. All right. So what does it mean to use AI as a team member? What is that workflow? And here's where I've summarized into 5 areas. I think to start off, the easiest thing is I have a thought session with AI. What that means is, as a people leader, I would call my team up and, team up, or even my colleagues, and say, listen, I don't have this fully baked, but I have this thought. I just want to think out loud, hash it out with you. You could be doing it with your colleague as well. You don't need to be a people leader. But a lot of this time we are, taking over someone's capacity. We're also, everyone's burdened with work as well. There's a lot of social capital that gets used with it, and you can only use it so many times. And if you want to, learn something in the team, let's say you're new into the team, right? You're trying to learn a new domain. It is very taxing. And as humans, we feel, very awkward as well, that how much are we going to just take from someone? And that is one of the best uses with AI. I have a thought session where you can have it 24/7 without the AI really minding it. What you do is you set context, say context of the situation, you give it a background, and then say, this is what I'm trying to solve for. Give it a role and say, take this role in this context and ask for clarity. Use it to learn, use it to sparring, going back and forth, right? Get contrarian views, play as a devil's advocate. You can ask it to take up a persona of someone that you see as an expert, right? That's publicly available. And you're like, okay, I can't reach to that for coaching, but why don't you take this persona? Right? Either, for example, in strategy and marketing strategy, I would ask about Seth Godin, who's like one of the gurus of marketing strategy. Similarly, you could do it for HR, for coding, for product management, marketing in general. So that is finance, for example, investments, right? Warren Buffett, right? Charlie Munger, there, everything is there public. And you can ask to take a persona. Now, that doesn't mean you just rely on it and take its advice. You're using it as a team member. You're using it as a personal consultant. Then there's a second one, which is everyone talks about AI's hallucination. I think if you use it strategically, you can make that hallucination a feature, not a bug. So I call it a hallucination is a feature section. Anytime you're trying to build something new scope, be creative, there's a process, right? It's called divergent and convergent thinking. What that means is that when you start off exploring an uncharted territory, you want to go and figure out every possible thing and explore possible ideas and scenarios. So you do divergent thinking. And once you've done that and you start figuring out, okay, what is the actual problem area that I want to settle and what is that I want to solve for, you start designing a solution, you start converging, and that's called convergent thinking. You'll hear that people that who are future thinkers or people who are really innovative, you'll hear this term called by leaders saying, this person is really good at divergent thinking. They say that, but they don't really know what it means and how to value it. You can now build that. You can use AI 24/7 and say, all right, I want to go explore this idea. I want you to actually go and think outside of the box and give me as outrageous ideas, as many as possible. As a team leader, I used to see that, you would ask this in a meeting, and I've seen this with other managers as well. There's always a group thing, right? One or two people will start giving an idea, and then others will basically start getting biased and just add incrementally to it, right? Everyone's trying to be polite as well. And not a bad thing, but that's what you're going to see in a human setting, right? So we all start converging. This is an ultimate idea generator for you that you let loose, right? For being unconventional, let it be creative, give, contrarian approaches. That's it. And then when you want to get to convergent thinking, you can use AI to figure out, okay, how do we co-create? Can we build prototypes? Can we iteratively build something, test our assumptions, right? In a much cheaper way. And then you can use it for devil's advocate, which is like the red team session, where once you've designed a solution, ask it to take, critique itself, right? And lastly, when you're shipping it, there are AI tools that help you ship as well. And if you think about all of these workflows across almost every function, you're going to see any one of these or all of these happening at a single point in time or at different points in time. And once you think about using AI as a team member, and you realize that there are these different sessions I could use AI for, you then build that muscle that, okay, I can now pick and choose what are the right tools that I would use for each one of these sessions. You start building your personal tech stack, right? You also start building your ability of what is the right tech stack as AI evolves. Remember, we have the worst of the AI right now, right? And no one really knows what's the best AI or not. Only those who are playing with it as domain experts and figuring out what really works, right, are the ones who are the real experts on this. That is the workflow for using AI as a team member. Now, Let me show an example how I would use it and think what a tech work stack. So imagine, I have a thought session. I, could use ChatGPT, Claude. I could use Perplexity to do some research, right, on what's available out there. I could use Gemini and, gather gather feedback, right, and gather learning from it. And a lot of the time, the learning, if I don't want it to just be text, I want to internalize it. Let's say I want to go on a walk and I want to listen to it. I would take the learning, the insights, and put it into Notebook LM, convert it into a podcast or into a visual map that it can create as well, and could watch it, think about it, listen to it, right? And it gives me a better idea that, okay, this is what it really sounds like. This is the plan I'm putting in. If it sounds like this, and how would my stakeholders think about this? How would my customers think about this? Similarly, hallucination is a feature. I could use any one of these. I at times use one for one and then use the other one to critique it just so that I can use wisdom of the crowds of these AIs. Then when you're trying to go create something, so let's say whether you're trying to create something creative or trying to create something that is, let's say, a tech product, something really functional, you now have tools, vibe coding tools, right? Lovable, V0 from Vercel, Riplet, Cursor, Bolt. You can use these, but they all have the same mantra, right? If you're approaching these, that this is a team member that is helping me prototype. I earlier came from a domain where, let's say, I did not have access to engineering. I have to beg to get those resources, and then maybe product managers and all of that. You can now, if you use it as a team member, you can learn what is that process that happens into product development, in tech product development, and say, all right, there's a product manager role, there's a UI person, there's a developer, and AI can now help you build PRD, which is product requirement documents. And then you can use that from either ChatGPT, Claude, right, Gemini, and then put it into one of these vibe coding tools and say, all right, help me build this. I have no idea about coding. Help me build this and give me a plan. Here's what I really want to get out of this. So you can build a prototype that you may not need to give to a customer as your end product, but you can use it to test out and very quickly see, all right, I have a good prototype. What can I do with this? Similarly, on the creative side, right, you have video filmmaking. You don't need to be a filmmaker right now, but you have video filmmaking, you have podcasting tools like Riverside, which I'm a big fan of, Descript. And you can use this to quickly test out, like, how does it sound like, right? What, before you actually go into putting money into production and bringing someone in as a video editor or a filmmaker, you could do that as well. And then for red teaming sessions, I have a workflow of my own built up that, okay, I will, for, let's say I'm writing an article or I have a thought piece around strategy for that I want to build for my product. I would get it reviewed from one, right? Start building the strategy and then go ask using chain of thought prompting is to critique its steps, then give it to another one, right? And I would say, I want you to be blunt and direct, and this is the persona I want you to take. And then lastly, you have ship it, right? Like you have these ideas and you're like, okay, how do I get this at the hands of others? You have a lot of these automation workflow tools, right? Like and Make, Zapier, Relay that can stitch all of these different tools together and, you know, get you to be more operational so that you don't have to think again and again about these. Now, the idea for sharing all of this again isn't that for tools overwhelm. What this is, and hopefully you get this, is by using AI as a team member, having that mindset, knew that, okay, let's say I started off with an idea, use it for, I have a thought session, and said, okay, now I'm going to go divergent thinking. It knows my context. I'm helping it, I'm asking it to go broader and then help me design a solution. And then I say, okay, what do I need to design a solution? Is it building a product? Is it putting something really cool as a media out there? Is it a recommendation on a gift to someone? That team member can first help me learn about those domains as well, learn enough that I can be dangerous. I don't need to be the engineering expert, but it can help me understand. It did for me as well around what is front end, what is back end. And that team member becomes your personal chief of staff, your consultant. And with time, you then realize that almost all the tools have sort of similar ways of working and similar ways when they get lost, similar ways, similar hacks that you build. Because once you're working with a team member, you figure out what is the hack of getting the most out of this person. Same thing with AI. Then as you have new needs come up, right, you can look at a new tool and say, all right, let me test out the same process I use for the others. Works with this? If it does, you know, all right, I need to worry about learning all the new tools. When my use case comes in, I'm just going to pick it up. It's going to be not that much of a steep learning curve. Trust me, it reduces your overwhelm. And how you could practice this for yourself is do it in the flow of work, right? Like right now, we have so many apps around us, right? So is this another app? And do you have to think about all these 10 different apps all the time? That is true. Like you won't be able to build AI fluency. And that requires this mindset of operating with AI as a team member if it's not in your flow of work. So I'll share two things and then action for you to practice it. Number one is this personal hack. A couple of years back, right, when the voice mode came into Chat GPT, you know, dropping my kids off at school, coming back, I would have these ideas, right? I'd be thinking about them, rushing back to attend a meeting. And sometimes I'll be, stuck in commute and, I would call up someone and, just to brainstorm. And then I started using the voice mode. I said, in my flow of work, rather than bugging other people, what if I start doing it with AI? And I started using that voice mode. Number one, when psychologically, when we talk, when we voice, it's a complete different working of the brain than when we type. We've become used to typing and writing because of the way this industrial workplace is. That is changing now with AI, and voice is going to be a key portion. So I would use voice, right? As with this, my brain would get wired up and the ideas would come out as, and sometimes think out loud, you're talking, you get clarity as well, especially when you're trying to explain it to someone. Yes, it's AI, but when it responds back in a human voice, you feel like trying to explain. So you're building better skills, right? And what that did was it brought me a lot of clarity, right? I started brainstorming ideas. I would, critique things, and whether on both on personal sides and professional side. Again, doesn't mean I'm just completely relying on it. I'm just using it as a thought process outside of my brain for me to clarify and for me to, veto certain thoughts that I have that I thought were brilliant, and also figure out my own blind spots as well. Similarly, for walking, you go out for a walk, and sometimes I'm listening to something, and then an idea comes up, and I was like, okay, I want to write this down. So instead of writing it down, I used to do walking one-on-ones at times with friends and like mentors. So over the phone, I would take up AI voice and say, all right, here's an idea. Can you just, brainstorm with me? And it just brought a lot of calm because a lot of the time the ideas will be in your head. Then you come back and you didn't document them. And then, you forget about that idea. And then it adds more cognitive load that, oh man, I want to do so many of these things and I couldn't really execute. It gives you the feeling of productivity as well. It actually makes you more productive and more energized. The other thing I would say is do this. Take any workflow in your domain that you're trying to solve for. And it will most likely have either initial thinking, setting up a context, like what is the problem I'm trying to solve for? It may have a session which is require ideation, thinking outside of the box. It may require you to co-create something before you really commit to fully producing it. And then when you've landed on a solution, it may require a red team session where you want to poke holes into it. And lastly, you want to ship it out reliably and test out that it's doing well. Any one of these can apply here. Take those, talk to AI, whatever your favorite AI is. Treat it as a team member. Think of it that you have this team member, but assume it's a rookie right now trying to learn from you. Once it learns more about you, it'll become really proficient. It'll become your rock star member. And then play with it. Start building that habit. Apply it to one workflow. I guarantee you, I've been doing this with others and teaching others as well. Every time it's a massive aha, and people completely shift their mindset and they realize that they now view the overwhelm on AI very differently, and also their confident capability level around AI changes. So with that, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only signal I know that what I'm doing is valuable to others, and I keep doing that. Thank you.